Hi boys and girls, moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas and everyone in the whole world, because the story I am sharing with you today is the greatest story ever told. It's the story of Jesus' birthday, and that's why we have Christmas. I'll be sharing with you from the Jesus Storybook Bible, which is a great one if you don't have one at your house. It's written for kids to understand and adults to enjoy also. Now, all the first part of the Bible was written hundreds of years before Jesus was born. And it was foretelling or a prophecy of what would happen. Now, God knew, because God knew everything. But the people wondered, when is this present from God going to come? God has promised to help his people from the beginning. But how would he come? And what would he be like? And what would he do? Mountains would have bowed down, and seas would have roared, and trees would have clapped their hands. But the earth held its breath. As silent as snow falling, he came in. And when no one was looking in the darkness, he came. Now there was a young girl who was engaged to a man named Joseph. Now Joseph was the great-great-great-great-grandson of King David. One morning, this girl named Mary was minding her own business in her own bedroom when suddenly a great warrior of light appeared to her. It was Gabriel, and he was an angel, a special messenger from heaven. When she saw the tall, shining man standing there, Mary was frightened. "You don't need to be scared," Gabriel said. "God is very happy with you." Mary looked around to see if perhaps he was talking to someone else. "Mary," Gabriel said, and he laughed with such gladness that Mary's eyes filled with tears. "Mary, you're going to have a baby, a little boy, and you will call him Jesus. He is God's own son. He's the one. He will rescue the entire world." The God who flung planets into space and kept them whirling around and around, the God who made the universe with just a word, the one who could do anything at all, was making himself small and coming down as a baby. Wait, God is sending a baby to rescue the world? "But it's too wonderful," Mary said, and she felt her heart beating hard. "How can this be true? Is anything too hard for our wonderful God?" Gabriel asked. So Mary trusted God more than her eyes could see, and she believed. "I am God's servant," she said. "Whatever God says, I will do." Sure enough, it was just as the angel had said. 9 months later, Mary was almost ready to have her baby. Now, Mary and Joseph had to take a trip to Bethlehem, the town King David was from. But everyone was there to pay their taxes. And when Mary and Joseph reached the little town, they found every room was full. Every bed was taken. "Go away," the innkeepers told them. "There isn't any place for you here." Well, where would they stay? Soon Mary's baby would come. They couldn't find anywhere except an old tumble-down stable, kind of like the one I use for my manger. And so they stayed there with the cows and the donkeys and the geese and the sheep and the dove. And there in the stable, amongst all the animals in the quiet of the night, God gave the world his wonderful gift. The baby that would change the world was born. His baby son, Jesus. Mary and Joseph wrapped him up to keep him warm, and they made a soft bed of straw, which was from the animal's feeding trough that worked as his cradle. And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift, wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. Mary and Joseph named him Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us, because, of course, he had. The next part of our story is the light of the whole world. This is the story of the shepherds, also from Luke 2. That same night, amongst the other stars, suddenly a bright new star appeared. Of all the stars in the dark vaulted heavens, this one shone clearer. It blazed in the night and made the other stars look pale beside it. God put it there when his baby son was born, to be a spotlight, shining on him, lighting up the darkness, showing the people the way to him. You see, God was like a new daddy. He couldn't keep the good news to himself. He had been waiting all these years for this moment, and now he wanted to tell everyone. So he pulled out all the stops. He sent an angel to tell Mary the good news. He had put a special star in the sky to show where his boy was. And now he was going to send a big choir of angels to sing his happy song to the world. He's here, he's come. Joy to the world, the Lord has come, my little boy. Now, where would you send your splendid choir? To a big concert hall maybe, or a palace perhaps? God sent his to a little hillside outside of a little town in the middle of the night. He sent all those angels to sing for a raggedy old bunch of shepherds watching their sheep outside Bethlehem. And the shepherds were very plain people, but some people thought they smelled bad, and they called them bad names, and they laughed at the shepherds. You see, people thought the shepherds were nobodies, just scruffy old riffraff. But God must have thought the shepherds were very important indeed, because they were the first ones he chose to tell the good news. That night, some shepherds were out in the open fields, warming themselves by a campfire, when suddenly the sheep became startled and darted away. They were frightened by something. The olive trees rustled. What was that? A wing beat? They turned around. Standing in front of them was a huge warrior of light, blazing in the darkness. "Don't be afraid of me," the bright shining man said. "I haven't come to hurt you. I've come to bring you happy news for everyone, everywhere. Today in David's town in Bethlehem, God's son has been born. You can go and see him. He's sleeping in a manger." Behind the angel, they saw a strange glowing cloud, except that it wasn't a cloud, it was angels, many, many angels armed with light, and they were singing a beautiful song. "Glory to God be fame and honor and all our hoorays." Then, as quickly as they appeared, the angels left, and the shepherds stamped out their fire, left their sheep, and raced down the grassy hill, through the gates of Bethlehem, down the narrow cobblestone streets, through a courtyard, down some steps, and more steps yet, past an inn, round a corner, through a hedge, until at last they reached a tumble-down stable. They caught their breath. Then quietly they tiptoed inside. They knelt on the dirt floor. They had heard about this promised child, and now he was here, Heaven's Son, the maker of the stars, a baby sleeping in his mother's arms. This baby would be like that bright star shining in the sky that night, a light to light up the whole world, chasing away darkness, helping people to see. And the darker the night got, the brighter the star would shine. Next week, boys and girls, I'll be telling you more about the story of when Jesus was born. It's the story of the three kings, sometimes called the wise men, who came to worship Jesus and bring him gifts. Have a wonderful week, and remember, God's best gift to us was his Son, Jesus. Bye.